Okay, I just started a cloud recording. Let me start my backup recording. And for those of you who are in my physics 4A and or 4B, you know what this is backup of. But for those people who are new, let me kind of give a brief-ish explanation of my setup. So I have a two screen setup. The first screen that's physically located here, which hopefully you are seeing shared. And I have a second screen that's physically over here to my right, from your view to my, I guess, your left. So and I keep all the other stuff there, like let's say the Zoom chat window, which I've dragged it to the shared screen right now. Let me drag it back. All the kind of menu items, stuff that I think I need for running this virtual class session, or sorry, online orientation session. I keep it on this second screen, and that's my setup. And video conference being what it is. So I've I've been doing this for a while. I actually started this before COVID in 2019 or so, and once I started doing it, I realized some of the things in the video conference setup that's just going to be unnatural, and you just have to kind of learn how to conduct it in a way that it appears natural. For example, right now I'm doing a thing that makes it look like I'm making an eye contact with you. And from my side, it's super unnatural to do this because all I'm doing is I'm looking at this small dot that's my camera hole. So I'm not actually looking at any person's face. I'm just staring at the camera hole. And that's what I need to do to give an illusion that I'm making an eye contact. And in fact, for those of you who are here in real time, really, when I am looking at you, I'm actually looking over here. And you will see me glance a little bit like off to the right, to your left, from time to time, and that's me kind of glancing and making sure that that there aren't any reactions that I missed, or that if there's any message in the chat that I've seen it. So all of that kind of long way to say this if backup recording, it's a backup of my face. So this orientation session recording, which some of you might be watching on Zoom, that one is not really edited all that heavily. And I think in one of my very first messages this semester, I linked you to orientation session recording from last year. And so I edit these videos for uploading to YouTube for public sharing. And in that editing process, I found it logistically useful to always have a recording of my face. Whether I always use it or not, it's good to have it as a backup. Sometimes, a student is asking me question and like student's video isn't on, and even if it's on, I don't think I would want to show that on a public YouTube video. And in those settings, like I think it's useful to just have my face showing to kind of show that I'm listening and all that. Um, and I've never been able to get Zoom to reliably record my face, especially when there are other speakers. And this is the only way I've been able to do it. Run the video of my face through another software, OBS, and then on Zoom, for the purpose of Zoom, that's what this virtual camera is doing. And also this serves as a backup recording of my audio. And actually, I guess this is not backup, that's a primary recording of my audio. When I edit the videos for YouTube, this is a slightly higher quality than what Zoom ends up recording, because this audio is local, it hasn't gone through internet, there are no lags and delays. So that's what this backup recording is backup of. Let me just hide this away so that for the most of this session I won't be bothered. Let me put my usual welcome message in the chat, and what will become my usual welcome message in the chat, and we'll get started with this regular session. So welcome. I guess since there's no other message in the chat, I can do this. Let me just type this out. Sure. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining in this online orientation session. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or put your, question into the chat window. And about the chat, I will say, I guess, three things. One, normally I'm very careful about not dragging this window into the main shared screen. That's because as there are sometimes ways for this chat window to have things that isn't publicly recorded for the entire class to see. So like I'm not gonna click on this because if I do, it'll show who's here. There's only one person here, but who's in attendance, that kind of stuff. I consider that to be a kind of semi-personal information, so I'll be careful about not sharing it in the recording that will be visible to everyone in the class who's not here in real time. That's one. I'm usually careful about not dragging this into the shared screen. Now, so if you don't care who in the other, which of your classmates know you are here, then you don't have to take this care. It's your personal information. You can do with it whatever you wish. So if you just want to ask a question, as it says, put your question into the chat window. Great, you can do that. As you are doing that, make sure that you know that when you send it to everyone, it'll be captured in the recording. So just know that, that's what's gonna happen. If you somehow want to ask a question but don't want it to be seen to everyone in class, then send it to me as a private message. So don't do it right now. But if you click on this, select my name and then send it, then you will see some indication that you are sending it only to me, Andrew Park. And now, when this chat window is on my second screen over there, let me actually move it. When it's over here, I can still glance at it and see that there's a message there. So I can kind of, so that's what I'm glancing at from time to time as I'm doing this session. So that was the second thing. Public chat message is recorded. Two, if you don't want it recorded, send it to me as a private message. And I thought I had a third thing. A third thing, it kind of goes with how this session is going to be conducted. So when you see me in person in lab on Wednesday, and every Wednesday after that, you will see that I have been properly trained in teaching people. So when they teach you how to teach, one of the very first things that they teach you is how to use silence as a pedagogical tool. So even when you are lecturing, although in lab, I guess most of the time we are gonna have small group interactions. So as you are instructing people, sometimes you have to learn to just not say anything. You ask a question, and unless it's a rhetorical question, you just don't say anything for the next 30 seconds, a minute. At some point, somebody feels uncomfortable, and given my experience, it's usually the students. Somebody feels uncomfortable and says something. And it might be actually the correct answer to the question that they were just too nervous to say, or sometimes it's completely off base, but it still gives me a kind of starting place for the next interaction. So in this kind of interactive, personal, individual, small group, or even in lecture setting, I've been taught as one of the first things that they teach you when you first start to learn how to teach physics back in 2006. They teach you how to use this silence as a pedagogical tool. Now, I found in this online setting that it doesn't work. Especially through the COVID years, when there were people here online and this online interaction was the only setting, I've given it a try where, I don't, I invite people to ask questions and I don't say anything. And the silence would go on for like 5-10 minutes. Like nobody felt uncomfortable just being online. So all of this to say, I've decided to go with a different convention when I'm conducting this online session. So I've decided to adopt the conventions of the broadcasting world, where given the nature of what a broadcast is, whether it's TV or radio, they really go by the convention where they're not supposed to have any dead air, meaning a period of time when no one's speaking, nothing interesting is happening on video. They're not supposed to do that. In fact, the old-timey radio stations, they get fined if they have too long of a dead air. So I'm not going to get fined, but that's the convention that I've decided to go with. So in these sessions, both today's or online orientation session and in the virtual class sessions, you're going to hear me talk almost non-stop. That's convention I've chosen. It's not that I don't know how to use the silence. It's that I don't think the silence works in this online setting. So you're gonna hear me talk nonstop. And as I do that, I just really want to make sure, especially for people who are here in real time today and people who may be here in real time in the future, that my just continuing to speak nonstop, it's not a disinvitation to your questions. I do really want you to ask questions. I do want you to, I want you to not feel like you are interrupting when you unmute yourself and ask questions. So you have my standing invitation to do that when you are here in real time. You can just unmute yourself and ask, especially if I've said something that doesn't make sense and it looks like I'm gonna move on. And you haven't seen me like glance over there to see if there were any questions or reactions, then please unmute yourself and ask. Now, I do realize that sometimes people feel uncomfortable doing that because you feel like you are interrupting something. And I get that. I told you that you are not interrupting, but you might still feel that way, then please use the chat, whether in the public chat that's going to get recorded or as a private chat. So I do try to glance at it from time to time and see if there are questions. And if there are questions, I'll note it for myself and find an appropriate place to stop, address the question. So I do really want to make sure that as you hear me talking nonstop in these sessions, that you are able to and you feel like you can ask questions while you are here in real time. Because really, frankly, that's the reason to be here in real time. Otherwise, watching the session, as I say, joining the session by recording the video, it's kind of like the same as being here in real time. The only difference is when you are joining by recording the video, you can't change what's already happened. But when you are here in real time, great. You can direct the flow of the meeting. You can ask me questions that's going to change what I will cover. So with that, so normally when we have more people here in real time, I would have done some sort of introduction among the people who are here. So right now we have only one person. I do appreciate you being here, but we didn't do that, as you can see by the recording start time. I guess I'll just say something briefly about myself, and then I'm going to actually save a bulk of introduction about myself when I do the course demo as a test student, because one of the things you need to do as real student is to contribute to a graded discussion in order to clear the module requirement for test student. I have to do that anyway. So as I do that, let me do it as myself in that particular instance and have that introduction. So briefly, right now, hi, my name is Andrew Park. I'm your instructor for Physics 4C. I'm happy to have all. Last time I checked, the 14 of you here. It's one of the smaller classes, and I did. I mean, sometimes I do worry if the college will cancel class. I did kind of think they won't cancel this class because it's a capstone class. Many of you taking this class are about to transfer. This is literally the last class you need, maybe to fulfill a transfer admission guarantee requirement. So I do appreciate you being here. Physics 4C, I will say this without any hesitation that this is my favorite class to teach. Sorry to those of you who are in my Physics 4A or 4B, you weren't my favorite back then. It's my favorite class to teach because this is a class that covers modern physics. This is the class that covers the set of topics that really me as a former physics major was really excited about and still excited about. I'm still a member of American Physical Society and I keep up with any new developments to the extent there are any. But modern physics is really the main topic that we physicists are excited about, and this is the only class where I get to teach that at a level that that I'm allowed to teach in community college. So So yeah, I said my name and I'll say more about myself when I do the course demo. Oh, beginning of semester notes. This is about actually the very first message I sent out. So this is not the very first announcement, although it might look that way if you are at the home page, because that's the only thing you see. But there was one more announcement that I sent like 3 weeks ago. So if you go to this message, then you will see my usual couple important notes. And really it boils down to make sure that I can contact you because this is really the biggest challenge of this online class because the amount of time that I see you regularly is so limited. I only see you once a week on Wednesday evenings. From your perspective, like if you miss 1 or 2 lab sessions, you feel like, oh, I just missed a couple class meetings. From my perspective, you missed half a month of class time. So, so as I try to reach out to you, I want to make sure that you are able to receive that communication. So this is what I'm asking you to do to help me reach you when I'm trying to reach out to you. One, please make sure you're checking your Peralta email regularly. If you are using Peralta email as your main email, great. Make sure you're checking it at least once a day, then you are doing everything I'm asking for. Now, if you are not using Peralta email as your main email, like Peralta email is not my main email. I have my own personal domain that I like better. That's my main email. Then what I would ask you to do is please forward your Peralta email. I do have some instructions here. There's a longer set of instructions on this student resource page, and so if you are trying to forward it and having difficulty, let me know in lab and I can help you. So please make sure you are somehow checking email sent to your Peralta email regularly. Now, I think in the campus solutions, you might be able to change your preferred email address. If you do that, great. So whenever I'm sending someone an email, my email on the roster is what I check against. So whether that's your preferred email in campus solutions or your Peralta email, just make sure you are somehow checking it regularly. That's number one, because email is my number one backup method to reach out to you with. Now, most of the time, I'll be using the built-in mechanisms that are built into the course to try to reach out to you. It's a matter of organizational scheme. Because, email, it's a general purpose thing. You use it for other things. I use it for other things. And I want to make sure the course-related communication, which I might need to refer to when I'm assigning grades, I want to make sure it's organized in one place. So normally, if I'm writing you an individual email, I'll be using Canvas, the conversations tool. And if I'm leaving you feedback on your assignment, I'll be using submission comments. So as I do that, it's really important that you have a proper notification settings. So in your notification setting, which you can access by clicking on this link, or you can access it through your profile picture and then notifications. However you reach it, please, on your notification setting, make sure you have following 3 things set as notify immediately. And you can see here that my own preference is to set nearly everything as notify immediately. And you can set this setting per account or course. I've never bothered doing that, but somehow if you can, there's so much communication that what I'm asking you to do, you can only do it for this class, then great, do it. I don't care about your other classes. Well, it's not my primary concern. So on this notification setting, the number one thing that I would ask you to set as notify immediately is under conversations, added to conversation, I think. Or sorry, conversation message, or both. I think it's the conversation message that's the main one. So as I was saying, when I need to reach out to you individually, I'll be using Canvas Conversations tool. And when I write your Canvas conversation message, it's this notification that controls if you are notified of the message. And even though I'm using Canvas to reach out to you, I still want it to kind of work like an email. And for that to work like an email, you need to have this set as notify immediately. Otherwise, you won't get a notification that you have a Canvas conversation message sitting there. So that's number one. Number two is announcement. So I sent the announcement reminding you of this session. Welcome to week one, yesterday afternoon. And as I post that announcement, if you don't have this notification set to some level, you will not be notified that there's an announcement. I recommend that you set it as notify immediately because then that announcement will reach you by email the way it was intended. I get that sometimes you get too many announcements from all your instructors and you might want to turn it down. If you turn it down to daily summary, I guess the way I sent the yesterday's announcement, you still would have gotten it as daily summary, but still not what I recommend because daily summary can potentially introduce up to 24 hours delay. If I happen to post an announcement at 7 p.m. and the day's summary already went out, then that won't be included until the next day. I do try to avoid this announcing anything where you have to react within 24 hours, but why introduce unnecessary delay? Just, set it as notify immediately. And the third thing is, this one, it took me a while to figure out. Took me a semester of teaching, wondering why isn't this student doing anything to what I'm, leaving as a feedback in their submission. And it has to do with your submission comment setting. So unless this is set to some level of notification, when I leave you feedback in your assignment submission, you won't know that there's a comment there. So please set this to some level of notification. I think with the things I've changed this semester, I might not be using this as much, but you will definitely be getting a final course letter grade related comments through this. So please make sure this is set to some level of notification. Again, I recommend to notify immediately. In fact, with everything, I recommend setting everything to kind of notify immediately. Anything that starts to bug you with too frequent notification, you will realize it. Like I started out with everything notify immediately, and I realized with all submissions, if I set this as notify immediately, I basically get notification every time anybody does anything, and that was too much. So I turned it down to a daily summary. But some of these, like, scheduling stuff, group up membership update, like I have it set as notify immediately. Last time I got this notification was like 6 years ago when they're doing stuff with us instructors. So, like, even though it's set as notify immediately, it never bothers me because nothing happens. And when it starts to bother me, I know I can turn it down. So, there's a fourth and last thing that I would ask you to set as notify immediately or set some level of notification is under discussion, new topic. This controls mainly whether you get notified about new recording. For those of you joining this meeting by recorded video, you had to find the link to the recording somehow, and that recording would have been in a new topic post under discussions. So if you have this set as immediately, you would have gotten that notification immediately. But if you had this turned it on to daily summary or God forbid, notification off, then basically you never know when there's a new topic in discussions. And in this first week, I will post extra announcements, kind of telling you, hey, there's this new recording, but I'm gonna stop doing that after this week. So you need to set new topic as some level of notification in order to get those reminders automatically without me doing extra work. So that's a kind of longish explanation of what I'm saying in this couple important notes. Make sure you're checking your Peralta email. Make sure your course notifications are set to correct settings or recommended settings. This is for those of you who have taken my physics 4A and 4B. I have significantly restructured the lecture presentation of the material this semester. I hope to show you that, I guess right now, as I go through the course as test student. Well, maybe not right now. It'll take me like 20 minutes to get there, but let me get there. And so if you're expecting a particular kind of setup of arrangement, it's gonna be different. I started to do that with the physics 4A, and then I realized, oh, I like it, so I wanted to do that with all my classes. So with the physics 4C, you are gonna see significantly different organization than what you saw in physics 4A and 4B. So I think that's everything here. Let me close those. Yeah. All right, so I did all that. Wow, that took longer than I thought. Let me do course demo. I only have a little bit more than 30 minutes, and I think that's gonna be enough. But before I do that, let me just to do this. So feedback on virtual class session and office hour schedule. I'm just going to publish this quiz, and then I will send out a reminder for people to answer to this survey. I guess for the people who are here in real time, what this is, so virtual class session is basically like today's session, except I do it weekly, not just at the beginning of the semester. And for this class, I have it tentatively scheduled at 2 p.m. on Friday. So this Friday, I'm going to hold this session. Somehow, if this time doesn't work, then great. This is my request for feedback. And if it's somehow if somehow a different time works for a significant enough number of people, then I will consider it. The other thing is office hour. I end up doing something different every semester. So the different thing this semester is I'm holding this in the evening time. This kind of mirrors our lab time. So I've been thinking about maybe rescheduling these classes as a hybrid class. As in with the in-person lab and hybrid lecture. And if we were doing that, then it would have been a Monday, Wednesday class. So I guess you'll see this in kind of invitation messages starting next to it. I invite you to use Monday's office hour time like an open classroom time for you to just work on homework and whatnot. It's still my office hour, so you don't have to be there. I can't make you be there, but you have my invitation to use that time. And then this is just the open feedback. So I just published it, meaning people who know how to find the link can like respond to it right now. But you know, if you don't know where to find the link, I'm gonna put it into an announcement, so you will see it there. And reminder of the Wednesday's in-person lab session. Yes, we are meeting this Wednesday. This is my reminder in the announcement earlier. We are at Science Annex, which is at 860 Atlantic Avenue. We are not on the main campus, so please make sure you find our street address here. And there's plenty of parking right outside the building, so you can just drive if you're driving. And make sure you are here at 6 p.m. 2 days from today. And yeah, we'll have some interactivity. There's a description of what we are going to do in lab module for weeks 1 and 2. So right now, if you're trying to skip to this, it will block you because you need to clear the. Well, yeah, so you still need to clear this. So once you are able to get here, this page will kind of describe what we have planned for week 1. So that's the reminder. Please be here on Wednesday, and if you can't be here, let me know so that we can work out what you need, and then I don't drop you. So all right. So with that, I think the only remaining agenda item is the course demo. And I know many of you who were in my physics 4A and 4B, yeah, you know this already. So if you wanna kind of skip out the rest, that's fine. Although you will miss out on me talking a little bit about the new lecture presentation this semester, but you'll eventually see it anyway, so it's fine. Let me do this demo for people who are new to this class, because sometimes the module requirements kind of it confuses people. So I'm gonna go into test student mode and work through the first couple modules of the class as you would, but you know, me as a test student. So this is the view of the course homepage as a test student. It's beautiful page. It took me a lot of time designing this look. I mean, it actually didn't take me a lot of time, but I did have to look the buttons style sheet. So this is the homepage, and You will hear me say or read me saying a couple times that I don't recommend the use of the mobile Canvas app. And one of the reasons for that is depending on the version you are using, it'll skip this homepage. And I think that sets you up worse for a good start to the semester because there's information here, there's navigational guides here, and the way the mobile Canvas app presents the course sometimes just skips all that. I think the tablet version at least shows you the homepage, but there are still quirks here and there that I think the mobile app does more harm than good. If you are on a mobile device, what I recommend that you use is a web browser. A mobile web browser will look just like this, or at least a mobile version of it. So that's one thing that I kind of advise you to stay away from. The second thing that I advise you to stay away from, and this is one that I feel so strongly that if I could remove it from the course, I would. I just can't, so it's still there. It's this to-do bar. If I could remove it, I would, because I think it just presents the course material in a way that I don't want it presented, and it causes so much confusion. Like there are some ways in which you can use it that would be good, like announcements. That's great. If you are using, because this announcement widget, it only shows you the single most recent announcement. So as you land on the homepage, maybe you don't realize there was another announcement before that. Then that's great. Use the link in the to-do bar to look at those announcements. And after you're done, you can click those to-do reminders away. And if you're tracking your announcements that way, then great. I got no issue with that. My issue with it just follows after that. Then you think, this being a to-do bar, so you think it's a list of things for you to do, and you click on the next thing, and there's nothing you can do here. And this confuses people. I do think it's not it's not some sort of unrecoverable mistake because, if you slow down and read this um, error message carefully past just this and refrain from just emailing me saying, hey professor, thing is not unlocked. If you slow down and just read the whole message, then you can see, completion prerequisites. The following requirements need to be completed. You need to do this, you need to view this page. Like you can read that. But I think this whole idea of to-do bar, it enforces a kind of mindset that I think is not helpful to students. The mindset where you see a course as a kind of list of assignments to do. I mean, if you are taking an in-person class, it wouldn't be that unless you skip every single class session and only do homework. So even in an online class, there are activities that are, there's nothing for you to turn in, but it's activities that's meant to help you learn. And you should still do that even when there's no to-do reminder for that. And especially, I think for people who are in that mindset, an online course is just a list of assignments to do. I think that's the particular group of people who are especially confused by this error message because, in looking at a course like that, you kind of learn to skip past the things that you thought weren't important and you didn't even read this. And so, to-do bar, I think it just does a number of things that I frankly don't like. So my advice to you, like, again, if I could just remove it from the course, I would. But I'm not, I don't, I've looked and I don't have ability to simply remove it. So my advice to you is ignore it. You like treat it as if it's not there. That's really why, even though the link to the survey, it is in the to-do bar. The link to the virtual class session and office hour survey, it's right here. But I'm not going to tell you to use it because, again, my number one thing is ignore the to-do bar. And I don't want to send you a mixed message of, use it for this, but not that. No, just ignore the whole thing. Pretend that it doesn't exist. Like, pretend that I could literally do this with your actual web browser, which I can't. I wish I could, but I can't. Oh, wait. Where is it? Okay. Pretend that I could do this with your web browser. I know I can't, but ignore it and you'll be fine. Like nothing in the course requires you to use the to-do bar. So with that, let me start this course in the way you are meant to by clicking on Start Here. Now, this Start Here button will always go to this page, which you might have seen it already. This is kind of common page for a lot of the Peralta Canvas sites. If you have already seen this, great, great. Kind of skim through it, make sure there's nothing new that you haven't seen before, click next. And now, as you are working through the course, so at the moment, nothing in the course is preventing me from doing what I'm doing right now, which is not what I would actually recommend. Just clicking next to through without reading the course page. Because the material that's on the course pages, it's there for a reason. It's the kind of information that I think is helpful to you as you are working through the class, as you are kind of anticipating what's coming up. That's why I took the time to put it up there. But I guess I had to draw some balance between kind of amount of busy work that you have to do and what I really care about. Now, you will find at some point, if you are simply clicking next to through, that at some point you get stopped. So I just clicked next to through the previous item, and now I'm seeing this page again where it says it hasn't been unlocked yet. And again, don't message me saying, "Hi, professor, this is unlocked," and I can't do it. Especially if you are sending me that message at 11 p.m. tomorrow, like 1 hour before this is due. Like, even I probably won't see the message, but even if I did, I probably will wait until the morning after, just on principle. Because what you have to do is, so it has to do with the module prerequisites. So far the pages that I clicked next to through, it had a module requirement that's different from what the Honor Code Pledge did. So let me go back, and really the view of the class that I recommend is the modules view. You can get to modules view either through this link, which is right next to Start Here. If you click Start Here, you'll just go to the first page again. I don't think that adds anything. So modules view is what I recommend. You can go to that through this link, or you can use the sidebar. It's the same link. So when you go to the modules view, this is what you're going to see. In this view, you get to see the entire semester's material laid out. Even the ones I'm still in the process of updating. You will see an indication that I'm in the process of updating. And what you have to do to clear the module requirement. So all those pages that I clicked next through, they had what's called the view requirement. And it's the kind of the lightest requirement I can put on a module item. And view just means your web browser has loaded a page. Like, I have no way to see if you've read it, if you've done the things that I think you should, like, physics 4C grading standards. If you are trying to get an A or B in this class and you are interested in, like, how are you going to be judged, then this is probably the page that you should read through in some detail. And I guess for the purpose of this session, I'll just highlight, this is what I would kind of how I would summarize and give you advice on, based on having run this particular system for about 2 years now, seeing people who are successful and getting A's and B's that they were hoping for, and people who didn't succeed and only ended the class with a C. What I would recommend that you do is do all the written work as a practice. Like, the written work in and of themselves don't have any value, but their value is that it's a practice for you as you practice for the required one-on-one meeting, which we can schedule, I think, starting in week 5, 6, 7, after you've done some chunk of the physics course material. In the required one-on-one meeting, you'll be showing me that you know how to solve physics problems. And if you have treated all the written work like a practice, then you'll do fine at the meeting. You'll have nothing to worry about. And in case you are in the group of students who feel nervous about that one-on-one meeting, then what I would recommend is, paradoxically, hold that meeting as soon as possible. Because I do find that people who are nervous about the meeting, yeah, your first meeting, you won't probably hear me say, "Great, this satisfies the requirement, you are done." You probably won't hear me say that. But if you hold this meeting early, then what that means is that you have the rest of the semester to fix whatever wasn't quite right and do the meeting again. So you really, especially if you are nervous about the required one-on-one meeting, ironically, paradoxically, you should hold it as soon as possible so that you receive the feedback as early as possible and you have as much time as possible to make sure you are on the right track for that B or A you might want. So all of that, you should have read it. And if you didn't just click to next through as test student was doing, then you would have read it. Um, and you can go back to it in the modules view. So you can do that. Now in the modules view is where I can see the honor code pledge. It didn't have a view requirement. It had a score at least this amount of points. So that's what I need to do. And when I finally am able to unlock the graded discussion, then I need to contribute. That's what I need to do before I can unlock the next item and so on. And you can also look ahead. These items in the future, they are all grayed out. Oh, except for these. And you can't open them, but you can at least see what's coming up. And you can see that these structures look different from how Physics 4B looked. So let me get to the honor code pledge and do this. This is actually one of the main reasons I do this orientation session each semester, so that I can demonstrate for people what's the correct way to do this honor code pledge. And this pledge is something I started doing when I was teaching this class with 100% online lecture, and I really wanted to make sure that everyone has read the online course honor code. And as I was thinking about it, I was just tangled in a web of irony where, people who, if I gave you something like my colleagues do syllabus quiz, if I did something like that, an actual genuine honor code quiz, then the kind of student who would breeze through it really quickly would be the people who would cheat. People who, if I told you, don't have the code side by side, then it would be the people who have the code side by side who would answer those quizzes super easily. So after having considered all that, really the only way I could ensure that you have read the online course honor code was to just make you type it out. So in this, sometimes people don't read all the instructions and just type out something like this. And that's not the instruction. It doesn't say type out your name. It says type the below indented text in the answer box. Like type this entire thing. And then sometimes people think, oh, so all I have to do is have this text down here. Then I'm going to do this. Like, how is Andrew going to know that I just did this? How am I gonna know? Well, I will tell you during the Wednesday's lab session. For those of you who are in my Physics 4A and 4B, you know how I know if you've done this. And my number one advice to you, people who are new, is please don't do this. Please read the question instruction carefully. Read how many times it says not copy and paste, and how it's a violation of honor code. Again, you might think it's nothing serious. It is serious to me because academic honesty is serious to all of your instructors. And this is the first item in this class where you had even an opportunity not to follow the honor code. And I'm telling you, if you copy and paste, oh no, so please don't do it. So let me demonstrate the proper way to do this. You just type it out. It's easy. Depending on your typing speed, it takes you either a minute and a half if you can type 100 words per minute, or it takes you 10 minutes if you're doing it on a phone or super slow. But it doesn't take you that long. So what you should do is type out your name. So me doing this as test student will make submissions that represent my own work, not share my own work and solutions with anyone else except where explicitly allowed, not engage in plagiarism, not use outside resources during open book kind. And you've seen me correct typos above, but it's manually graded. If you have typos, that's fine. Really, my main interest is that you've read most of the block of the text. So if you only typed like first a few words, then yeah, that's not good. But some typos here and there, it's fine. Correct it if you want. Don't correct it if you feel like that'll slow you down too much. Dishonestly damage or improve the results of others. I pledge this. Oops. This on my honor. Again, you could have had this typo left in. It still would have been fine. I put that in back on purpose, but let me correct it. Sorry, I don't want to do that. It's manually graded. Exact match with the text is like what's being looked for. In fact, I've seen people type this in, and it's like, okay, why did you do that? But it's fine. I manually review it. The main thing I'm looking for is that it looks like you typed this block of text. And the second question is what allows me to move on automatically as you wait for the manual grading here, because it'll take me some time to grade it. And these 2 points will allow you to proceed before I have graded your question one. So I submitted it. Yeah, it took 4 minutes. If I just focus and type, it would have taken me like 1.5 minutes. But because I was talking and distracted, it took me 4 minutes. But I've seen this take as long as like 10 minutes. Time is not what I go by when I try to decide this on copy and paste. And I will demonstrate my method to you on Wednesday. I don't want to put it in the recording because a little bit of secrets of the trade, trade secrets being saved, held back. But in Wednesday's lab session, I'll just show you how I know if someone copies and pastes this block of text. So with that, now I can do my own intro. I'm gonna try to be careful not to show your classmates' names. Some of them will inevitably show up. For the Zoom recording, that's fine. I just have to blur them out for the YouTube recording, and it's less work for me if those personal information show on as few screens as possible. So I'm going to be answering this as myself, Andrew Park, not as test student. So let me answer these questions as myself. So, hi, my name is Andrew Park. Whenever you see test student in these graded discussions, it's me, your instructor, clearing the module requirements for the test student. In fact, I have not found any other way to reliably clear module requirements for test student. This has contribute requirement, and I have to contribute. Like that's the only way I've been able to clear it. It's me, your instructor, and my preferred name is Andrew. If you don't feel comfortable with calling your instructor by first name, you can say Mr. Park. That's fine. Not Dr. Park. I never finished my PhD, so Mr. Park is fine. Professor Park is weird, but fine. Andrew is my preferred name. Okay, not next. So I'll have to change the questions a little bit because I'm not taking the class, I'm teaching the class. So let me start with that. I'm teaching this class, not taking it. And why am I taking it? Teaching it, this semester, and I'm teaching physics 4C this semester because we weren't able to get PHYS for 3A to transfer to UCs in spring 2025, so we couldn't teach PHYS 3A, and I needed a second class to fill my full-time load, so we are offering physics 4C. Now, that is actually true. I'm not making anything up. But, that's not the only reason I'm teaching physics 4C. I'm actually happy that this happened. So I'm teaching physics 4C this semester. I don't think I need to say why. So, and the thing I love the most about teaching physics 4C, which is my favorite class to teach here at College of Alameda. Sorry to those who were in my physics 4A or 4B love the most about teaching physics 4C is that this is the only class in which where I can talk about the revolutions in 20th century physics, i.e., the modern physics of special relativity and quantum mechanics, in the way they should be discussed with full mathematical details that only a STEM major can comprehend, as opposed to in physics 10, where we do cover modern physics, but only with a conceptual gloss, uh, because people in that class um, haven't taken calculus or differential equations. Yeah, so that's my answer to the second question, with the adjustment to the fact that I'm teaching this class, not taking it. And choose one or more following questions to answer. Oh, I think I can answer the last one. I guess what topic of physics most interests me is the fact that the Nobel Prize in physics this year, I think it is this year, not 2024. I'm not this year, whether immediate past year or this year, was actually given to machine learning researchers. Maybe that's where the next fundamental breakthrough in physics will come from. And as you'll hear me say a couple times, there really hasn't been any truly revolutionary fundamental physics discovery since at least the mid 1980s. Now there have been things discovered, like I think a top quark was discovered in the 90s, and there was a Higgs boson in the 2012, 2014. But those are not revolutionary fundamental physics discovery in the sense that those were all expected from this known structure of the standard model. So nothing that shook the foundation of physics. And we do, as you will see when you get to the standard model lectures, we do think there are missing pieces there. No physicist thinks that the standard model of particle physics is the fundamental last word in physics, but the kind of the sad fact is that since the 1980s, when that the main structure of the standard model was put together, there haven't been any new discoveries that showed us what is that actual physics beyond the standard model. So, yeah, okay, that's it. And there used to be a next button on the bottom, but when I was testing it out earlier, it isn't there. So I'm not going to scroll down. I'll just go to modules. Again, modules view is the way I recommend that you look at this course. You can see what you have done. You can see what you maybe need to go back to, because when you're working through it, you are just clicking next through. You didn't read any of them carefully. You can go back them through the modules view. And now you can see that now that I have finished the getting started module, I have unlocked the rest of the course. I've unlocked week 1. And with weeks 1 and 2, you are going to see this pretty strict enforcement of the linear progression requirement. It's starting in week 3 when you will gain some level of independence, flexibility. Some of the strict requirements of points will turn into mark as done. So look forward to that in a couple weeks. In week one, what you have to do is just work through this top to bottom. And this is actually the new part that'll be new to people who are in my physics 4A and 4B. In my physics 4A and 4B, you had these as the lecture content, like chapter readings and lectures, and you had you had the stuff, and you are supposed to mark it as done when you've done what you wanted to do. And the biggest problem I had was a very small percentage of people actually watch the lecture videos. And sometimes I think, of the people that I know weren't watching the lecture videos, I think those people could have gotten a B or an A if they've actually done the things that I tell you to do. So the reorganization here is really meant to encourage you to do that more. So this is the introduction page, not all that much changed. You can do mechanics review if you want to. You don't have to. It's optional. So, it's there for you to do if you want to do it. Now, working through the required course content. So you're going to, this lecture one, that is actually an assignment. It's a MyOpen Math assignment. It's what they call video cued assessment. So, you can just follow instructions, like you don't have to know anything special, but, following instructions, you started it. It says click on video button to start. Okay, great. Click on video button to start. I'm just going to mute it so it's not, you don't have two different audio going on. So this is the lecture video, and you are meant to watch this through. When you've watched through the first section, like around 30 minutes and 33 seconds, it's gonna drop you into questions. Gonna skip because I can, and because test student is terrible. My worst student never does anything he doesn't have to. So after you've watched that segment of lecture video, you're gonna get dropped into these questions, which relate immediately to the video that you immediately watched. Now, I've been told from my other class that some students do this, and I really don't recommend it. So now you can skip around, but please don't use that ability to skip ahead to the questions, read the questions first, and then watch the video. I get that that's sometimes the test-taking strategy advice you get, but I don't recommend it for this assignment. Because really, the main purpose of the assignment isn't to answer those questions, which would have been if it were a test. This is not. The main purpose of this assignment is for you to watch the lecture videos. So if you are doing what I just described, where you have skipped ahead to the question, and then as you're watching this next about is it 7 minutes? 8 minutes of video, you are just thinking about those questions, then those questions cover maybe about a minute of the lecture. So you've missed 7 out of 8 minutes of the lecture if you are just thinking about those questions that you thought, oh, I have to answer those. I'm only going to focus on those questions. Yeah, please don't do that. Those questions are really meant to double check for you. Have you, as you're watching this video, did you understand what you're watching? And if, as you're answering these questions, if you realize, oh, I have no idea what this is asking about, then the thing that you ought to do is go back and rewatch the whole lecture video. Like that's what you are supposed to do. There's a saying, whatever gets measured, whatever gets measured and serves as a metric of success, no longer become the fact that it's being used as a measure of success, because people kind of game on it, it stops being a good measure of success after a while. And I really don't want you to use whether you are getting correct answers on these questions as a measure of your success in this class. Really, the number one measure is, hey, are you watching the videos? That's the starting place. And after you've, watched the videos, and then later on, as you work through the class, you are going to come across the problem set. which is way down here. So as you answer the problem set, that is really your measure of success. If you can answer those problem set questions well, great. Then you are on your way to B, on your way to an A. And now the points themselves are not, again, measure of success, because it's all practice. It's all practice for something that's going to come up later in the semester. Let me just skip ahead to it. And I think it's in a part of the course that I haven't fully updated. So some of it might change, but if I change it, it won't change too much. It's really this required one-on-one meeting, which that's gonna decide whether you get on A or B or C in this class. And in this meeting, you will have to be able to work out the homework questions or work out the timed assessment questions if that's the option. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be revising some of this, so I won't show too much of it. But really, the number one thing I hold to is, are you able to solve physics problems? And as you have worked through these problem sets, if you're doing it in a way where you can come back later and work it out again for yourself without any other help, then great. I think you are doing well. But if you can only do this with help, like you need to refer to notes, you have to know the correct formula, then you are not doing the practice right. So, so I think that's all the time we have, and I've shown, and I think I'm gonna work through the rest of this as maybe as we start the virtual class session this Friday. So and then yeah, so I'm for the test student, I think I'm gonna just leave this undone, and it'll be fine. It won't be a big problem. I'll kind of I guess I'll demonstrate a way to do this improperly next time. Because, you know, if you're doing this properly, this entire video is, how long is the video? Entire video is, you know, a little bit over an hour long. That's how long it's gonna take. And I don't want to waste that much of the online session time, but you should watch it. Like you watching it, it's not a waste of time. You're supposed to be spending 12 hours per week in the lecture component of the class. And if you're spending 3 of those 12 hours in watching the lecture videos, that is exactly how I want you to spend it. So with that, thank you so much to those of you joining by recorded video. I'm gonna say goodbye to people joining by recorded video, by which I mean I'm gonna stop the recording. And for people who are here in real time, in case you had questions, you just didn't want to ask it on recording, let me stay online a little bit briefly after I stop the recording. So let me stop the recording, saying goodbye to people joining by recorded video.
Recording stopped.
And let me stop my backup recording for people who might be watching this backup recording. Bye.